Hello, Petal. How are you doing? How are things? How's everything been in the last 1 hour and 16? It's like 1 hour? 1 day and 16 hours since I last posted. Hey. I'm so proud of myself. I'm actually getting onto recording within 3 days. Well, technically 2 days, but you know what I mean. We're not going to cut hairs, are we? No. Cut hairs, split hairs. Ugh, I do actually need to give my hair a trim. But I digress. How are you doing? How's the weather your way? Is it settling down? It's cooler here today, which is nice because when it gets all that hot and humid, I can't even. As I said in the last one, I digress. I know that American weather's got more extremes, as has other weathers north and south of the equator. But there's just something about English humid summer days that are crushing, and they're getting worse, and it's horrible. But I digress. Let's think of fun and fluffy things, or funny and fluffy things. But yeah, tell me how the weather's going your way, and if you're doing okay, and if you've got any funny stories, and if you want to tell me a dad joke, please do. I will take one for the team. So I did get an exciting thing. Well, not exciting thing really, more of a kind of like, what the fricky frick today. So I take my dogs out every day. Just like, obviously they get walked morning and night. But I take them out in the midday, just to kind of like give them a little bit of a leg stretch. And my neighbour is 4 doors down, and their door must have blown open because it's bin day today, right? So they must have either left the gate open or their door's blown open. And the problem being, so we're going to give a caveat. They're deaf, so they don't hear the barking. Now, if you've ever heard barking in the background of any of my recordings, it's these dogs. 4 sausage dogs live 4 doors down from me. I've seen the main 2. They're sort of like, I think mummy and daddy. I think they're a breeding pair, but I'm not sure. But the one of them's got lovely silky fur, and the other one's got the shorter fur. It's very pretty little dogs. They're lovely. I've gone past them countless times, and they've just been like, hi, da-da-da. No problem. However, today, door was open, so they'd got out. They were in the lane. They saw my 2, and they were like, rah, 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 rah. And I was like, bloody hell, how can so much noise come out of such little dogs? And I was like, told them, stop, back up. And they obviously they're very obedient and very good dogs. They're just defending their home. So like, poor little Dobby, he freaks out, obviously because he's a rescue and he's a very timid dog. So I just basically scooped him up because he's only little. And I put them both in the backyard. Like Ellie was just like, what the she's chill. She's deaf and blind, so she doesn't she doesn't care. So I put them both in the backyard, and then I sort of went to the 2 sausage dogs. I was like, oh, get in. So they got in the backyard of their house, and I pulled the gate too, and the lady was in the window, and I was like, I just waved at her, and I'm like thinking, yeah, your dogs are about to get flattened by a car coming up the road, and they were giving me 2 aggro. What the bloody hell are you doing, just sat there? Because she would have seen that the back gate was open. Now, if it had been me, I would have lost my mind. I couldn't. Sorry, I'm getting overexcited now. There's been one time when Yuffie's got out of the backyard, and I think basically the latch wasn't put down by the delivery guy, and Yuffie had just gone out to slightly stretch her legs, sort of thing. And I have never been so scared in my life. You know what I mean? It's kind of like if they get out, but it's just how blasé these people are. And I'm like thinking, not only are you terrorising other dogs, but your dogs could have got run over or stolen or anything. It shouldn't be up to somebody else to come and put your dogs in. But I mean, of course we'd do it. It's like neighbours do that. They kind of like help each other out. But the fact that she didn't even notice that they were out, that's what got me. That I know mine are every 5 seconds of the day, and it's just, sorry, there's me virtual signal and being self-righteous and everything. I know everybody's circumstances are different. And I'm sorry to be babbling on about this, but it really got to me. I was just like, on the one hand, it's funny, like, because the way, like, little Dobby looks at me, is like, Mama. And Ellie was like, drama. You know what I mean? And it was like, so just that was the funny part. But it was just, on the other hand, I just worry about, yeah. Anyway, I've been waffling far too long, which is becoming a habit recently. So many apologies. But yeah, if you want to tell me any stories of that way, then I'll be more than happy to listen. Thank you to everybody for being here, and I appreciate you as always because you're all awesome. So we better get on with chapter 8 of Another Fine Myth by Robert Asprin. Ta-da! I think it's quite apt today. In times of crisis, it is of utmost importance not to lose one's head. Marie Antoinette. Now, obviously, that was, an ironic statement back in the day, but that's actually quite apt for today. And I didn't lose my head, I just got it dealt with. But inside my whole, I had the little hamster wheel going, like little duck legs. Anyway, the four of us stood in frozen tableau for several minutes, studying each other. My mind was racing, but couldn't focus on the definite course of action. I decided to follow Aaahz's lead and simply stood regarding the two figures coolly, trying to ignore the two crossbows levelled steadily on us. Finally, one of our visitors broke the silence. "Well struck, Woodle. Aren't you going to invite your friends to sit down?" Surprisingly, this was addressed to me. I said. "Yes, Throckwaddle," Aahz drawled, turning to me. "And aren't you going to introduce me to your colleagues?" I repeated. "Perhaps he doesn't remember us," the second figure injected sarcastically. "Nonsense," responded the first with equal sarcasm. "His two oldest friends, Brockhurst and Higgins. How could he possibly not remember our names? Just because he forgot to share the loot doesn't mean he'd forget our names. Be fair, Higgins." "Frankly, Brockhurst," responded the other, "I'd rather he remembered the loot and forgot our names." Their words were stuffy and casual, but the crossbows never wavered. I was beginning to get the picture. Apparently these were the two imps Aahz had assured me he couldn't overtake us. Unfortunately, it seemed that they thought I was the imp who had killed Garkin. At least, I thought it was fortunate.
Gentlemen,"
Aahz exclaimed, stepping forward,
"let me say what a great pleasure it is to—"
He stopped as Brockhurst's crossbow leapt to his shoulder in one smooth move. "I'm not sure who you are," he intoned, "but I'd advise you to stay out of this. This is a private matter between the three of us." "Brockhurst," interrupted Higgins, "it occurs to me we may be being a bit hasty in our actions." "Thank you, Higgins," I said, greatly relieved. "Now that we have established contact," he continued, favouring me with an icy glare, "I feel we should perhaps secure our travelling companion before we continue this discussion." "I suppose you're right, Higgins," Brockhurst admitted, grudgingly. "Be a good fellow and fetch him along while I watch these two." "I feel that would be ill-advised on two counts. First, I refuse to approach that beast alone, and second, what would leave you alone facing the 2-on-1 odds, if you get my point?" "Quite. Well, what do you suggest?" "That we both fetch our travelling companion and return without delay." "And what is it to keep these two from making a hasty departure?" "The fact that we'll be watching them from somewhere in the darkness with crossbows. I believe that should be sufficient to discourage them from making any movements which might be subject to misinterpretation." "Very well," Brockhurst yielded grudgingly. "Throckwaddle, I would strongly suggest you not attempt to avoid us further. Well, I don't believe we could be any more upset with you than we already are. That might actually succeed in provoking us further." With that, the two figures faded back into the darkness. "What are we going to do, Aahz?" I whispered frantically. He seemed not to hear me.
"Imps,"
he chortled, rubbing his hands together gleefully. "What a stroke of luck." "Aahz, they're going to kill me."
"Relax, kid. Like I said, imps are gullible. If they were really thinking, they would have shut us down without talking. I haven't met an imp yet I couldn't talk circles around."
He cocked his head, listening.
"They're coming back now. Just follow my lead. Oh, yes, I almost forgot. Drop the disguise on my features when I give you the cue."
But you said they couldn't catch—" I broke off as the two imps reappeared. They were leading a war unicorn between them. The hoods of the cloaks were back now, revealing their features. I was moderately surprised to see they looked human. Seedy, perhaps, but human nonetheless. Then I saw Quigley. He was sitting woodenly astride the unicorn, lurching back and forth with the beast's stride. His eyes were staring fixedly straight ahead, and his right arm was raised as if in salutation. The light of the fire reflected off his face as if it were glass, and I realised with horror he was no longer alive, but a statue of some identified substance. Narrator's note, unidentified substance. Yeah. Any confidence I might have gained from Oz's assurances left me in a rush. Gullible or not, the imps played for keeps, and any mistake we made would, in all likelihood, be our last.
Who's that?
Oz asked, interrupting my thoughts. I realised I had been dangerously close to showing a betraying sign of recognition of the statue. There will be time for that later, if indeed there is a later, said Higgins, grimly dropping the unicorn's reins and raising his crossbow. Yes, echoed Brockhurst, imitating Higgins's move with his own weapon. This is a matter of an explanation to be settled. Throckwaddle.
Gentlemen,
said Aahz soothingly, stepping between me and the crossbows.
Before you proceed, I must insist on introducing myself properly. If you will but allow me a moment while I remove my disguise.
The sight of the two weapons had rattled me so badly I almost missed my cue. Fortunately, I managed to gather my scattered senses and close my eyes, shakily executing the change features spell to convert Aahz back to his normal dubious appearance. I'm not sure what reaction I had expected from the imps at the transformation, but the one I got surpassed any possible expectations.
By the gods below,
gasped Brockhurst. A pervert, gasped Higgins.
That's perfect,
smiled Oz, showing all his pointed teeth.
And don't ever forget it, friend imps.
Yes, sir, they chorused in unison. They were both standing in slack-jawed amazement, crossbows dangling forgotten in their hands. From their terrified reactions, I began to suspect that despite all his bragging, Aahz had perhaps not told me everything about his dimension or the reputation of its inhabitants. Oz ignored their stares and plopped down again at his place by the fire.
Now that that's established, why don't you put away those silly crossbows and sit down so we can chat like civilized folk, huh?
He gestured impatiently, and they hastened to comply. I also resumed a sitting position, not wishing to be the only one left standing. But why are you here, sir, if you don't mind my asking? Brockhurst finally managed to get the whole question out. However incompetent he may be as a demon, he sure knew how to grovel.
Ah,
smiled Oz.
Therein lies the story.
I settled back. This could be a while.
I was summoned across the dimensions barrier by one Garkin, a magician I have never cared much for. It seems he was expecting some trouble from a rival, and was eager to enlist my aid for the upcoming fracas. Now, as I said before, I had never been fond of Garkin, and was not particularly wild about joining him. He began growing unpleasant in his insistence to the point that I considered swaying from my normal easygoing nature to take action against him. When who should appear but Throckwaddle here, who did me the favour of putting a quarrel into the old slime stirrer.
Oz acknowledged me with an airy wave. I tried to look modest.
Naturally, we fell to chatting afterward, and he mentioned he was in the employment of one Istvan, and that his action against Garkin had been part of an assignment.
You answered questions about an assignment? Higgins turned to me aghast. Yes, I did, I snarled at him. Wouldn't you, considering the circumstances? Yes, oh yes, of course. He darted a nervous glance at us and lapsed into respectful silence again.
Anyway, Oz continued, it occurred to me I owed this fellow Istvan a favour for ridding me of a nagging nuisance, so I suggested I accompany Throckwaddle back to his employer, that I might offer him my services, on a limited basis, of course.
You could have waited for us, Brockhurst glowered at me. Well, I wanted, you see,
I insisted. Oz smiled. You see, my time is quite valuable, and I had no desire to waste it waiting around.
Oh, said Brockhurst. Higgins was not so easily swayed. You could have left us a message, he muttered.
We did,
Oz replied.
My ring, in full view on the table. I see you found it.
He pointed an accusing finger at Brockhurst. I noticed for the first time the imp was wearing Garkin's ring.
This ring, Brockhurst started. Is it yours? I thought it was part of Garkin's loot and that it had been overlooked. Yes, it's mine. Aahz bared his teeth. I'm surprised you didn't recognize it. But now that we're united, you will, of course, return it. Certainly. The imp fumbled in his haste to remove the ring. Careful there, Aahz continued. You know how to operate it, don't you? It can be dangerous in ignorant hands. Of course I know how to operate it, Brockhurst replied in an injured tone. You press against the ring with the fingers on either side of it. I saw one like it at the bazaar on Dover once. He tossed the ring to Aahz, who caught it neatly and slipped it on his finger. Fortunately, it fit. I made a mental note to ask Aahz to let me try using the ring sometime, now that we knew how it worked. Now that I've explained about me, how about answering my question? Aahz said, levelling a finger at the Quigley statue. Who is that? We aren't sure ourselves, Higgins admitted. It's all quite puzzling, really, Brockhurst added. Would you care to elaborate on that? Aahz prompted. Well, it happened about 3 days back. We were following your trail with hopes of reuniting our group. Suddenly this warrior gallops out of the brush ahead of us and bars our path. It was as though he knew we were coming and was waiting for us. Istvan was right, he shouts. This region does abound with demons. Istvan, I said, doing my best to look puzzled. That's what he said. He surprised us too. I mean, here we are working for Istvan, and we're set upon by a man claiming to be sent by the same employer. Anyway, then he says, Behold the weapon of your doom, and draws a sword. What kind of sword was it? Aahz asked innocently. Nothing special. Actually, a little substandard from all we could see. Well, he put us in a predicament. We had to defend ourselves, but we were afraid to harm him on the off chance he really was working for Istvan. What did you do? I asked. Frankly, we said to heck with it and took the easy way out. Higgins here bounced one of his stone balls off the guy's forehead. I'll try that again. Balls. Okay, give me a minute. Oh, goodness. Frankly, we said... Oh, God. Okay, try that again. Frankly, we said to heck with it and took the easy way out. Higgins here bounced one of his stone balls off the guy's forehead. Oh, God, Robert Aspirin had it in for narrators, I tell you that little thing. We've been dragging him along ever since. We figured he'd dump him in this Istvan's lap and let him sort it out. A wise solution, commented Aahz. They inclined their heads graciously at the compliment. One question I'd like to ask, I interjected. How were you able to overtake us, encumbered as you were? Well, it was no small problem. We had little hope of overtaking you as it was, and with our new burden, it appeared it would be impossible, Brockhurst began. We were naturally quite eager to join you, so we resorted to desperate measures, Higgins continued. We took a side trip to Twixt and sought the aid of the devil there. It cost us a pretty penny, but he finally agreed to teleport our group to the trail ahead of you, allowing us to make our desired contact. Devil? What devil? Aahz interrupted. Simple, the devil at Twixt, the one who... Brockhurst broke off suddenly, his eyes narrowing suspiciously. He shot a dark glance at Higgins, who was casually reaching for his crossbow. I'm surprised Duckworth hasn't mentioned Frumple to you, Higgins purred. After all, he's the one who told us about him. Oh no! Is it a double cross? A double cross? A triple cross? A single cross? Is it a cross? Is it a double cross? I don't know what it is. Exciting.
So I think we're about a third of the way through. I hope you're still enjoying it, because I am. I think it's quite fun, to be perfectly honest. Please excuse the accent. But yeah, it's good fun. It's a very good fun. It's a very good fun. It is good fun. God. Oh, goodness gracious me. So, my lovely beans, as ever, please leave a comment if you would like to share, subscribe, hit the notifications bell if you haven't already, like the video if you got all this way. And I know my waffle goes on a little bit, and I might just apologise, but it's just good fun. It's like I'm talking to you. I like that. It's like I'm talking to you and with you, and it's nice, especially when you give me lovely comments and or send me messages and stuff, because it's awesome. But yes, if you are in a cold area, make sure to keep warm, wrap up nicely, and have a nice cuppa. Remember, hummingbird. And if you are somewhere too hot, please hydrate, stay in the shade, and if you have to, just run your wrists onto some cold water. So it just works for me. It's anecdotal, I'm not a doctor. So, lovely beans, I will be back soon, and thank you for your patience, and this is my TED Talk, yeah, or something. Take it easy, pedal. Take care.